Welcome back. Welcome back. Rod Powell here, and you're listening to the You Should Get a License podcast, your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. That is a career in the financial services, in the insurance industry. Really excited to speak to our guest because I know him personally. He's a friend, accomplished businessman, true entrepreneur. And not only is he an entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneur that helps other entrepreneurs really get their business off the ground. 10 years, in the insurance industry, has utilized that to branch into, other spaces of business consulting. And just excited to have him here. I want to welcome from Blackwell Legacy Group, the president and CEO, Mr. Terrence Blackwell. How you doing, sir?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Hey, look, we've been working to put this interview together, for a while, Yeah. So I'm excited about, I'm excited to talk about your journey because I know that, you've been, you're pretty much a lifelong entrepreneur, and, still young and still building, but have been licensed 10 years, starting out and kind of used, what you gathered from the insurance space and really has kind of branched that into another business. For the people who are new, I do like to speak to, the market lines and segments. So from an insurance licensing standpoint, what areas of the business have you focused on? And then, kind of what's your area of specialty now? And I mean, from, where were you at in insurance and now where you are as far as business consultant?
Yeah. So as far as insurance, in the industry, over 10 years now, we've worked in financial services. I say financial services as a whole because that's the way that we approached it. The actual product that we used was life insurance. So life insurance got us in the door, and our thing was always to see how can we help this entire house. Everyone has a house. So you build a good foundation, you need a good roof, you need, good sides. So, the life insurance is the sides, of course. I mean, it's the foundation, of course, but then you start to build the house. So getting out of debt is a part of the house. Having, proper, emergency fund, having proper retirement, that, all those things constitute what the house looks like. So that's what we really built our model on, just looking at the whole house for an individual. And today we work in financial service. Today we work in consulting. So we work with small business owners and we put together processes and systems to help them, increase their revenue and give a little bit more clarity and make their businesses easier to run.
Absolutely. So still building that house, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
You built the house for individuals initially, and now building the house, for businesses as well. I'm glad you mentioned the term financial services, right? Mm-hmm. I think people sometimes, get confused when they hear that term because they think about, either banking or they think about the stock market. They don't really consider, insurance a part of financial services. Can you were alluding to it when you were talking about, the planning aspect of your retirement things. Can you, just share a little bit more of really the importance insurance plays in a financial service package, so to speak?
Absolutely. So, the thing about insurance is I'm going to give you a little bit of money today for a lot of money. So think about it. You have a monthly premium, or if you pay annually, you pay this amount, say $100, and they're going to give you $100,000 pretty much guaranteed if something happens to you today. So what it's doing is just showing you that, you really should, everybody, it's different perspectives. I don't want to go too deep into that, but it's different perspectives when it comes to, life insurance. But the whole goal is to make sure that you can accumulate assets that equate to what you have in life insurance. So the goal is to make sure that if something happens, now you can take this money and pass it down to the next generation and start to build. One of the biggest issues that we've seen, especially like in our community, is we don't prioritize tomorrow, right? So we look at our finances as, it's just day to day. I'm trying to make it to the next day. But when we really sit down and educate a family, it puts you in a position where now you can start the process of building blocks. So now you have, like I said, you have that foundation of the life insurance where if something happens, you know what? All right, my mom's good, my dad's good, or whatever. And we can take it to the next level. So now we can start to compound. So what's the next thing? Let's start to actually build an emergency fund, because emergencies happen. And one of the biggest issues is, unfortunately, a lot of times from what we've seen, when an emergency happens, if there's no emergency fund in place, what's the first thing that goes? Man, I don't need that life insurance. So if you don't build it correctly, now you're in a position where you're not going to have the life insurance. So you start the entire process. You have the life insurance emergency fund. Then you start the process to actually plan for retirement, and just kind of educating in that aspect too, because understanding what is a 401k, understanding what is a Roth IRA or traditional IRA, and how does it benefit you as a consumer, or a person that just wants to retire. And unfortunately, most people don't understand, the nuances of how these products work, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, it's important because, and you mentioned the IRAs and the 401ks, they don't have the guarantees that insurance would have.
Exactly. Yeah.
The insurance product that's guaranteed to pay. You pay those premiums,
they pay you.
It's guaranteed to pay that amount, right? So, and tax free. Whereas, other, investment accounts may not be, they're Roth, I guess maybe, but otherwise they're not going to be typically in a tax free category. So yeah, man, I just wanted you to just kind of share a little bit more about that, because I think it's just crucially important, man. I want to take a minute and kind of go back because now you've been in the business, you branched off, you're running a business, and I know you and your wife run the business, which is another piece that's just absolutely amazing. I want to go way back though. I want to go way back to when Terrence Blackwell was like 8-9 years old. Before he was, the entrepreneur success he is now. What did you want to be when you grew up? Now you live in Richmond, but you're from Broadnax.
Yeah, I'm from Broadnax.
Okay, so Terrence is Broadnax.
So Broadnax is I'm sure nobody listening has ever heard of it. So I'm gonna give you guys a brief. So Broadnax is a very small town. We have maybe we have one stop. No. We don't have any stoplights, actually. We don't have any stoplights, no Walmart. It's just a very small town. Everybody knows each other. Like I grew up, where I grew up, I literally had a dirt road probably until I got to college. So like that's like the environment, so if I go 5 minutes that way, I have family there. Go 5 minutes that way, I have family there. So, it's really a close-knit community. Any store you go to, someone knows you. If they don't know you, they know your parents. So that was like the environment that I grew up in. And, just a quick briefing, like my dad was a brick mason. He owned his own brick mason business, most of my life. And, the beautiful thing about it, how it correlates to the small town is, even as a kid, you said 8 years old, even as a kid, we would go to different places and, I would see people and how they interacted with my dad, and they showed him a level of respect. And, it was always like, it was never like, oh, he's just that black guy that runs the business. Like, it was like, no, this is a legit person in the community that, is a man of his word, has integrity, is a good person. And and that's what I've seen from, the interactions with people and just watching how people interact with him. So that really, put something into me, to make sure that whatever I do, because of my last name, I got to make sure that I do it well. Right. And I have to keep a certain level of or certain standard. And so at 8 years old, I seen entrepreneurship because, again, my dad ran a business for years. But not only that, I'm there working. So I grew up a little different. My parents, I didn't come from I don't want to be like I didn't come from like a lack necessarily. Like my parents had decent money because my dad always worked. My mom never really had to work. So always had like decent money. But my dad was never the person that was like, hey, here's $200, go get some Jordans. Nope. Come outside with me. You come lift some of these blocks. You come lift some of these bricks. This is at 8 years old. I thought it was abuse for a long time.
Right.
But but it taught me the work ethic that that relays into everything that I do now. So I learned quickly how to work. Not only, to work, I learned how to work. So, it was certain things and cadences that my dad would instill in me at a young age. If he say, hey, go get that bucket for me. Like, don't take your time to go get the bucket. Like, put some urgency in your step to go get the bucket. Even like on a social aspect, if you walk through a door and somebody's behind you, hold the door, say yes, sir, no, sir. Like, those are just different things that were instilled young that are characteristics I think that help mold you, or that has helped mold me into the person I am today. And I still use some of these things, which makes, I think, invaluable in a sense, because it's not always there.
It's those intangible things, those small
100%.
intangibles.
Yep.
Absolutely.
100%. Yep.
You know,
So, from, like I said, so from there, like every summer, I'm working on my dad. Like he literally has me on payroll. We get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and we get home around 4 or 5 o'clock, or after 5. Actually, it's probably closer to 6 every day. During the summer. So, the Jordans that I wanted, I am paying for them. So now I'm not getting Jordans because I'm not paying.
right.
I work hard for this $200. So, it really showed me like a different value system, of how to work. And like I said, I really appreciate it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And like I said, the intangibles, just to reiterate that, because I think that's a takeaway,
Mhm.
for people who are listening. You got to pay attention to the soft skills. You can
Yeah.
be as technically proficient, as you want to be. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but like I said, those little things, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, no, ma'am, holding the door, being just a person of just strong character
Mhm.
is just, and you mentioned having that work ethic, and additionally,
Yeah.
it just creates that divide between the
Mhm.
person who is
100%.
maybe just gonna kind of teeter versus the person who's gonna get to the next level,
Yeah.
in their life and in their career.